This is Michelle, and you're listening to Words with Michelle, the podcast, a show where I sit down and have conversations with influencers on a range of topics, anything from natural hair, employment, discrimination, food, relationships, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to send me an email, hit me up at michelle@wordsmichelle.com. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. This is the second part of my series on podcasting featuring Sherley Joseph. In the first part, Shirley spoke about what podcasting was like in the past and present. And in this episode, Shirley speaks about the future of podcasting. We also discuss content creation and what is involved in being a successful content creator. Before we get into the show, I would like you to know that this episode was sponsored by Epigram Consulting Services. If you're an entrepreneur or a micro-entrepreneur in need of leveling up your business, Epigram Consulting can walk you through while teaching you the process of starting or expanding a business with their unique business consulting model. Epigram specializes in product identification, business plans, financial analysis, operations, and marketing. Ready to start or fine-tune your business? Contact Karen at info@epigramconsulting.com. Now back to the show. Because my talk with Shirley happened over 2 Zoom calls, I thought to spread out our chat over 2 shows. In this episode, Shirley speaks about the trends for podcasting and also details how you can be a successful content creator. Shirley is a podcast producer, the host of Black Canadian Creators, and is the co-founder of the podcast Chonillo Network. She's a huge supporter of Black content creators and believes in amplifying diverse voices. She is, in my humble opinion, one of the hardest working women in the game. So let's welcome Shirley back to the show. I start off the show asking Shirley where she sees podcasting going. Where do you see it going? Where do you see podcasting going?
Definitely like more visual. Like you said, like you mentioned the video component. It's not that it's hard, but video is costly.
Oh,
Right? And so but yeah, definitely I see the direction. Um I tend to find too that shorter podcasts are becoming more and more popular.
seriously?
10, 15 minutes, 20-minute podcasts,
How do you feel about
with
that? How do you feel about
I,
that?
I've always loved it. I've loved it from the beginning. You know, I know a gentleman, actually, he's going to be part of our Soundwave Summit, the showcase portion, which is in the evening. And he
Mm-hmm.
has a podcast that's like quiz and trivia, and it's usually like 10 minutes. And he gets tons of downloads. So I think because I think what's happening is, and I think that's why I think it's going to get shorter because of the introduction of AI and people are utilizing AI to create content.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be inundated with so much that I
Oh,
think that it's going to want for people to not to want to have shorter content in the podcast realm anyway, right? Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And also the thing is with the introduction of AI, people want more real, like people want to know that you're real. So whether you do it visually, a podcast with like it's a video podcast, or even like this kind of conversation, you're noticing this kind of trend because of AI, that things that like I think blog might come back. I just started a newsletter. I'm a contributor to Black Pod News, and I am shocked on how much people are kind of reconnecting and opening. The opening rates for newsletters is really going up because people want to know if you're real. AI have kind of placed this kind of
oh, okay,
question, like, is this real or
okay,
not? And
okay.
so
Wow.
even with Instagram, or things like TikTok, you look at TikToks, and the more authentic you are, the more people connect with you. Like, um I forget, I think her name is Justine or Justice, I can't remember, but like on TikTok she creates uh where she wanted to be a content creator. She's like, okay, I'm going to spend the year to figure out on how to make a living as a content creator. And she's so raw and she's so real, but you've seen her growth of like
Mm,
aesthetically it's become a lot better. Um but people know that it's her. And so I think as much as it's great that it makes our work as content creators a little easier and faster,
yeah,
but there's I think it's also creating the counter to that, that people wants to know if you're real, you know. So that's
yeah,
why even like with me, I started to implement more in my podcast to do live Instagrams. And just doing a live Instagram, I noticed the difference where I had a brand send me, like, I am not, like, my account is not a lifestyle. You know what I mean? I've all I do is like showcase other people. But
yes.
I had a brand send me a box and say, "Hey, we have this product and we'd love for you to, check it out." And I was like, "Oh, okay," So
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah, so I think people wants to see more of the real person. Um, and I think there's a bit of a tiredness in spaces like Instagram, um, that things are too aesthetically perfect.
Yes.
And I think the same way with the conversations that you have, people want to know, like, I think during the pandemic, true crime was huge, right? Like storytelling and effects and that kind of thing. And I think people just, yeah, they want to hear real conversation by real people,
Mm.
um and gain value from people's experience. I think that's where it's going.
When Shirley spoke about having real conversations on podcasts and how audience were drawn to it, I told her about the effect that my checking in episode had with my audience. It was episode 47. It's where I spoke about my health scare. Number 47 is the one that I think I got the most response. I've never gotten so much response in all of my podcasting because but it was that one. I guess a lot of women and well some
It's
men.
that personal thing.
It
It's
was
I'm telling you.
I also wanted to know if you could stick to one format. So I asked Shirley, can you flip flop between formats like personal and interviews? It's really
Well, that's the
hard.
beauty of podcasting. You're not bound like television
Mm,
or radio. It could be
that's true.
both, you know?
Yeah.
It could be, you have to think of it like a channel, because that's what an RSS feed is. It's a channel. So you can have, one episode. I've seen some shows where they have, different sub shows, I guess,
Like an
on
art.
that same channel, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's you could do that. I'm actually exploring that too, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to be bound by, I need to always have a guest for the show. So I want to
Mm,
incorporate guests and also my thoughts on certain things, or related to content creation, obviously because of the name.
yeah.
But yeah, so that way, that's the beauty of it. And if sometimes I come in for 5-10 minutes, why not,
I love
so
those
I'm
ones.
I'm looking at that. I'm exploring all of those possibilities. Yeah.
So if there was someone out there who's wondering if they should start a podcast, what would you tell them?
When I see people like, oh, like, I'm not getting, should I even start a podcast? And I say, because it seems like it's saturated. And I'm like, yes, because there's no other Michelle Joseph out there. People want to know about you. Like, there's literally no one. No one is the same, right? So that's the beauty and that's the importance, as to, don't even think about it, just do it, because there's no one can do you better than you. And I'm sure that in the 7 billion people that's on this planet, there's at least a good 10,000 to at least, 100K people that wants to know about you, you know. But basically, I was saying podcasting is a marathon. It's not a race, It's a lot of work and a lot of, and I think one way to grow really quickly, and that's what I learned, is like building a community. Even with Black Canadian creators, like earlier you were saying, like, looking at my account, like, it's not as, the engagement, like, comment wise, is not there. So I'm like, and so I was literally talking to Ryan about this, because I was at an event, Ryan Hickson from Eat Famous, and I was like, because when I started it, I started close to the same time as Eden from Black Foodie.
Yeah,
I was like, what is
wow.
it Eden that's doing differently? And I was like, you know what? I'm hiding too much, and that's one of the things that I'm pushing. I'm trying, once this summit is done,
Mhm.
is to be more a representative, like a captain type
Mhm.
of presenting the account, and not so much like the way that I've been doing. And maybe that I not maybe I have a strong feeling switching it like that is going to make it more appealing and like more engaging. Plus getting back into the podcast too is going to be for sure changing. So it's, but you know, that's one of the things you learn of being a content creator, whether you're blogger, podcaster, influencer. It's always about like, what am I doing that's not working? What's working? How do I do things differently? You know, it's a constant sense of evaluation and evolve and to evolve.
I'm there. Like I totally understand. That's how I feel. Like I mean, like I've been doing it for 4 years, and I feel like I kind of feel like I stumbled into it because I really it was, believe it or not, it was one of my bosses, an ex-boss of mine who I bumped into her on the subway, and she's like, Michelle, where's your podcast? I'm like, I don't have one. She just automatically, because I was blogging and she knew me for my blog, and she liked my blog.
Oh,
So I guess she just thought, okay, the natural progression would be to be a podcaster, but that wasn't really, I always thought I was too shy to do it. I mean, I, as chatty as I am, I'm still a shy person. So I didn't think, and I didn't not like my voice, but I didn't love my voice. So I just thought, I can't do this. She's crazy. But
oh my God. No,
I went
she's
back.
right. You have a great voice.
I just really need to thank you for saying that, Shirley. Okay, now back to the story. I went back to work and I was talking to my friend, my coworker, and I'm like, I think I might do a podcast. Like I think it's on my mind and I can't get it out of my mind. So I didn't work that day. I mean, I worked, but I didn't do my work. I just did
Yeah.
start a podcast. And that's basically how it started. I just Googled it, got my headphones, had the laptop, used GarageBand. And believe it or not, I used to record if I interview, actually no, I did do it on my thing. I thought I used my iPod because I had an old iPod that I used to carry with me all over. That's the lifeblood of Words with Michelle. All my interviews prior to my podcast are on that. So I love
Wow.
shout out to Apple. I'll take an Apple endorsement. I was kidding.
Yeah, same,
Kidding.
same. We all do. Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah, for
kidding.
sure.
But yeah, that's how it started. It was literally because she said, "Where is it?" I'm like, "I don't have it. I don't have one. I don't really have it." But thank you.
Yeah.
And then I took like about a month to do the research. And then I think, yeah, I was at work. It was November or so of 2019. And then what do you call it, the pandemic happened. So then I
Mm-hmm.
just started doing it. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled upon it. Like I'm still learning. I'm not gonna lie, every single time I put out a podcast, I'm still learning from what I did. Like I don't, it's not like it's like perfect, like I have it down. I'm still learning how to do it,
Yeah.
how to market, how to speak, how to whatever, you know what I mean? It's so
Yeah. The
funny.
marketing thing is the thing too. It's such a it's like you know, people think, "Oh, I'm just going to start a podcast and post it and now people are going to you know, listen." But you know, that whole idea if you build it they will come, it's not true.
I
It's
know
so
that.
not true.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
realize
like
you gotta push it. Like honestly, that's why I'm so happy to speak to you. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I really am gushing, but I can't help it because I see how much work you do. Oh my God, like just the page alone. I mean, you probably do 10 other things other than that, but
I
just just the fact that you're really pro creators, and it's just like God, like you're so nice. Like you're just like the cheerleader. Like you're just like you're so in so much support. That's why I'm like when I thought of someone I wanted to interview, I wanted to speak to, I'm like why haven't I? It wasn't even like, you know what I mean? It's just like I saw it, I'm like, this is so weird. Like, why wouldn't I talk to you? Because you're just in so much support of everyone else, right? You support
hmm
everybody. And I feel like didn't you create that oh my God. Well, it's part of the Black content creators. Like it was you, Casey Palmer. Am I wrong?
Yes, we created a directory. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Casey posted a directory for black dads, or was it black dad? No, I think just dads overall who are bloggers.
Yeah,
And I
initially,
thought,
yeah.
oh, that's such a cool directory. Like it's so like it was very niche and very important. It's like, yeah, we tend to think of, mom blogs, but yeah, what about the dad blogs, right? So he created this directory and I was like, Casey, what are you using? Like what's this all about? And he's like, oh, it's so funny, you brought that up. I'm thinking of doing something like this for content creators, but he was like, but I didn't want to step on your toes. And he's like, but you know
Mhm.
what, technically you've already done the work, so it's a matter of like taking in what you've done and like bringing it to this kind of directory. And then Kaya came in because Kaya wrote an article, I think just before he created his dad directory, of like 25 or some kind of like a listy article, like blog on her blog, like content creators, black Canadian creators that you should know, type of thing, right? So it's just that the fact that we're like, okay, she seems to really, and she's in Vancouver, so there's this sense of like her building a sense of community and me doing what I'm doing and Casey too. So it just kind of worked really well. That we're like, yeah, let's do it, let's create this directory just before, like, I think it was like 2, 3 years ago, just
Yeah.
before Black History Month. And we were in the same boat. Like we were like, hey, let's kind of break this idea for companies and brands, because one of their frustrations sometimes they're like, oh, we don't know where to find other content creators who are black that we can work with. We're like, really? Okay, let's eliminate this excuse, you know?
Yeah.
And so hence why the directory, and we felt like we didn't want to gatekeep, because sometimes there's some agencies that has a roster of content creators, and if they are black or any other culture, they tend to gatekeep, they tend to have it to themselves. And we're
Mm.
like, yeah, we're not going to create it, we're not going to gatekeep it, we're going to have it out there. We want it to be searchable, so people, really to kind of eliminate this excuse of like, oh, well, we don't know where they are, like even with me, with what I'm doing with Black Canadian creators on Instagram, I'm very conscious about who I follow. So not many people know, but if you're thinking of like, oh, I want to, I think right now it's at 3,000 or 4,000. That's like the people I follow, the majority of them, I'd say 95% of the people you see me follow are Black Canadian content creators. So it's
Wow.
its own little directory as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm
Good.
very, very conscious. Sometimes I see some other cultures, I was like, oh, I really want to follow them. So I'll just kind of follow them on my private.
Ah,
But I'm
again.
very super conscious. Like I've seen other accounts who are, like, let's say black for a certain part of like a city in this country,
Mhm.
and I could see how they tried to do it, but then they shifted it, now the content is not as Canadian, and now they're just
Oh.
pushing nothing but like Black American stuff, because they know that they're going to get more views,
Oh.
more engagement. And so I was like, wow, look at that. They went from like representing a city in Canada to now their content is all over, so it's
No.
yeah, it's but that is a challenge that I'm still kind of like, oh, even with me with Instagram, like, why is it, I'd like it to be more engaging, but I think the way I've structured it, and that's why I'm gonna change it to be, it could be a lot of tears, like maybe I've already seen this, but then I'm like, yeah, but it's not really, that's great if you've already seen it, but maybe a Indian person or a white person in Canada may not have discovered this person, and they happen to be a black content creator, and I'm hoping through that account that they'll engage with them, or maybe have a brand deal with them or something. Like that's the whole point. So we'll see. It's always changing. I'm always like growing and learning myself. But
Mm.
I know that for me, And that's one thing I've learned too as a content creator. It's like you always have to go back to your foundation and what kind of like compels you to do what you do. And as much as I do enjoy like sharing on black on the Instagram account, like, oh, check out this content creator, I know in the end, like, I have to get back to my roots to podcasting. So
Shirley mentioned collaborating with other artists, so I want to speak a bit more about that. See, that's what you were saying about collaborating and getting to. I would love to collaborate with other content creators. Like, I don't care if you're a podcast, I don't care whatever you are. Like, that's my whole thing. I've been saying this for years. I've always wanted to collaborate with. I haven't really collaborated with anyone. There's one person I collaborate with, and for he's like the only person that been collaborating with. There's no other content creator that I've been collaborated with or collaborated, and I would love to. Like, that's I just like creativity and I like to be around creativity. I like other people. I like conversation, but I've never had I always put it out there. Let's do a collabo. Like I'm here, and we can bounce. Like I'd love to work with someone, but this
well,
is
you might have a chance because we are going to bring back Soulful Bites. We're going to, after this summit, Alex and I are thinking of doing it again, like maybe around August. So
okay.
the
Good.
opportunity, like, I know the first one that we did, there's been so many people that I found out later that connected, um, you know, s- collaborated with each other. Like, I know some that said, "Oh, I'm going to utilize this person to do my videography," or maybe
Mm,
we'll do, create content together. So that's the whole point, is to kind of like, by creating a networking event that people could be like,
I'm
hopefully
down.
collaborate. Yeah,
Just tell me I'm
it's great.
there. I
And
am.
it's also created relationships.
Oh yeah, really? Okay, I'm definitely there. I need that.
Some people found like yeah.
I am down for that. So yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're trying to create more, like, that's my, my goal was really to push like more in person situation, or even like, I want content creators, let alone podcasters, to connect with other podcasters. So we're thinking of connecting with people like Afros and Audios and Black Podcasters Association to do kind of like a virtual meetup where Black
Mm,
American podcasters can collaborate, meet, or connect with Black Canadian podcasters. So these are all things that we're trying to bring down the pipeline.
One of the last questions I asked Shirley was if someone was looking for guests to be on their show, how can they go about it?
That's the number one thing I say this too. Don't be shy to send it out. You'll be surprised. Like, I remember I was watching a CBC show. It was called The Eighth Fire, and the host, his name was Wab Canoe, and I was really shy, and I just kind of sent out a Twitter, and I said, "Hey, you want to be on our show?" That's when we were on when he had Chonilla. And he said, sure, on Twitter. And I was like, oh my God. I went from literally being on my couch watching this amazing series where I'm learning about the culture of Indigenous people and what they went through,
Mhm.
um, in Canada, way before everything that was coming out about like the kids and stuff that were,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and then so to see, and it was wild to see that that story was part of Eighth Fire, that was a prediction of like everything. Yeah, it's wild. Like, so to see, I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, like, so, and I remember thinking like, there's no way this guy is gonna say yes, but only way to know is like to try. So I'm saying is like, take your chance. Like,
Yeah,
it's
shoot your
like,
shot.
shoot your shot. You never know where people are out and they're like, yeah, sure, why not,
Shirley is such a supporter of Black content creators. She even told me that she listened to my show and loved one of my episodes. I couldn't help it, but I was overjoyed to hear that.
Absolutely. And keep
Posted.
doing
Yeah.
what you're doing. I was listening to your show with I used to love her show. She was on
Oh,
the
Anna
Good Network.
Olson. Is
It
Anna
was so
Olson?
good.
As we come to the end of the show, I wanted to thank Shirley for being such an awesome person to speak about all things podcasting and content creation. I asked her if she can share with us her contact information.
You could find me any Black Canadian creators on Instagram and Facebook. Black Canadian CC on Twitter, or if you just search for the Chonilla Network, which is CHONILLA network.com, is one way to find me. But honestly, if you just Google Black Canadian creators, you're gonna find me. You're
Yeah.
gonna find either my name, or you're gonna find some form of a social account or story related to Black Canadian creators.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure. It's been a learning experience too.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks for joining me for the latest episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, I'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. Just a reminder, you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions or would like to provide feedback, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at michelle@wordswithmichelle.com. You can also email me if you have inquiries regarding sponsoring the show. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.